Hello and welcome to another episode of No Load Time. My name is Obed Velez, and with me is the most interesting man in the world, Joel Young.
What's good, no load time? Obed, good to be with you today,
I
sir.
I noticed that you were bracing for a snarky intro, sir.
Always. You gotta be ready.
After last
You have
week,
good ones. You got good ones.
yeah. After last week, I was like, you're like, oh man, where's it going? Okay, I'm good. Good man, how are you? How's it going, dude?
Oh man, I'm doing great, doing great. Over this last holiday weekend, took advantage of that $3 cinema sale going on. Was able to go out and actually catch the Spider-Man Spider-Man No Way Home Fun
Oh
Stuff
yeah,
Edition, I think is what they refer to it as.
something like that. Yeah.
Essentially about 8, 11 minutes more footage, different stinger at the end. Um, Opening of the movie, they had a fun little message from Tom Holland, Toby, and Andrew, just thanking everyone for really supporting it, making it the big success that it was. Um, and then really just random extended sequences, mostly just from a humor standpoint. Nothing serious, like, oh my goodness, this incredible deleted scene. That's why they refer to it as the more fun edition. It just added more smile and laughter to the overall experience of the movie. I could see why they definitely cut out the stuff that they had here, but still cool to have it almost like the lead scene still inserted into the film, like almost like a director's cut. So I like that. And there was one sequence in particular that was like, oh, cool. Not necessarily game changing, but like, oh, cool. Was you got another Daredevil scene in the movie
Oh, okay.
where
That's interesting.
basically he's defending Happy before an investigation committee of the DOD. So he's representing him, and at the same time, uh, Happy's ring, essentially ring camera, whatever his security camera is going off, and that's where you see that footage of all the guys walking through this house and looking, looking at the screen instead of seeing it instead when he's talking about in hindsight during the phone call that Happy has with Peter. They had it there instead, and in that moment, um, you know, Murdoch, he's over to him. He's like, "All right, let's stick to this right here. We gotta get you out of deep water," because he's explained to them, that Happy's not involved in anything with what was going on with because of Mysterio and the drones being Stark Tech and all
Okay.
of that. So he's basically just representing him in that moment, which you caught the idea that was kind of a thing. And so it was just like that was like the one scene that was like, oh, cool. Probably could have kept that in, just because I love Daredevil, so more Daredevil would have been welcome for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, outside of that, the post credits was just more of like a school video, as if like Betty is like doing a video like of with the kids and like recapping everything that's happened and showing some extra footage from the past two other Spider-Man films as well as this one of all the cast together. It kind of felt more of like a homage to like, hey, we had a great trilogy here. This is something special, and
That's
it
cool.
was. So not really much more to say beyond that from a standpoint of what they showed there. This is an interesting time for the cinemas, seeing how they've been basically you're having movies that have been out for a long time are being re-released, and they're doing really well at the box office. I know Jaws was re-put back out. For a lot of people said that the IMAX format, the 3D format, was actually pretty good the way it was transitioned. Not something I went out and saw, but just interesting. Top Gun making history, passing the number 5 overall. I'm laughing. Like, you would have asked me if that
Yeah.
movie was going to do that good, dude. I
Right.
would have said no. I didn't think it was a bad movie by any means. I liked it,
Incredible.
but I
Yeah.
never thought it would be this level of a success. I mean, I joke about it with you. Like,
Yeah.
I was there at Comic Con when Tom Cruise ran on stage with the footage. I ended up seeing the movie before anyone else did,
A
before the
year
whole world
before it
shut
came
down.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Over
then
2 years now, actually,
yeah,
right?
2 years. Yeah.
Almost two
Yeah.
years
And
before it came out.
two
It's
years.
crazy.
And then now seeing it in its completion, get there, what a long journey. I can imagine people involved in it. If I, as a consumer, got to see a part of its journey and then what the actual people working on and know a bit like I just not to go off on this because we got stuff to talk about, but like
Yeah.
I've heard people say like there's no way they're going to do a sequel because like Tom Cruise is like 60 years old. It would take another two,
60.
three
Yeah.
years for them to make another one. He'll be like 64, 65 by the time the next one would come out. I can't imagine them doing it, but Still interesting nonetheless. He's breaking boundaries for
Yeah.
people on those ages, and I love to see that. Good for him.
Yep.
Good for us as the consumer. So yeah, not really much more to say on that end, Obed, before we get into She-Hulk, Lord of the Rings, and all that good stuff. But anything you did that was fun over this last weekend?
No, the only thing I did was I spent a little bit more time with the Cowabunga collection. That was still pretty good. Went back, played the original arcade game, and finagle around a little bit with the other games. Still want to go and try the other games and play them to completion up, or at least until at more that I want to play until my patience gives out, especially with that first game. Well, so that first game I finished it when I was a kid. I don't like. I know it's hard, right? It's not impossible. Like there's a meme floating around with like Elden Ring and Cuphead, like having our argument of was like which one's harder, and then here's TMNT saying amateurs. Like TMNT, it's arguably it's challenging, right? But I don't think it's impossible. Like I played way harder games even back in the day. I think the Ninja Gaiden games are harder. The NES Ninja Gaiden games at least. So no, that's basically the only thing I did. I did. Did I play any more Elden Ring? I probably played like maybe an hour, like here and there. But
TMNT was your main.
yeah. That's mainly what I did. Yeah. So, yeah, not much. So now that we can cut it short, right? We can probably talk about what we watched. Do you want to do She-Hulk first, or want to do Lord of the Rings? Okay, spoiler alert for both. Yeah. She-Hulk and the Lord of the Rings. And also a warning. I guess could it be a trigger warning? Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah.
Sensitive topics.
Yeah, it could be. We're gonna go into some I guess sensitive topics here in a minute. So, all right. So it's still really funny and it's still very well written. That's all I gotta say. I know that people freaking hate it, dude. But if you come in with like the expectation that this is a comedy, you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
You have to set the expectation. You cannot come in expecting that this is something crazier and, freaking Winter Soldier, right? It is a comedy. I think this episode had the best like fourth wall breaking moments. That those were really good. And yeah, I mean most of the episode is it's comedy. It's a comedic action episode, right? Now when the party girl gets transported into like this other dimension, and she starts talking about the talking goat and it's like, is Mephisto confirmed?
I know, I was thinking the same thing.
So it's like that's the first, and I'm 100% sure that was done on purpose to keep the Mephisto confirmed thing going, because I know that go ahead.
Did you see in the credits reel that they had the art of her actually like signing with the goat? Did you see that in the Crick art thing at the end?
Remember.
The end showed the different thing.
Just looked away or something because I was waiting for the
yeah. They just like have like a quick, because I was looking for it and I was like, is this? She says it's like a goat thing, but like, is it a goat? Is it a man? Is it this? I don't know. And regardless, could still be like to your point.
Yeah. So that was pretty good. I thought that it was more nefarious, right? When Donnie Blaze, when I thought it was a lot more nefarious with, with the Donnie Blaze and then the girl saying, hey, I had this thing with the goat man, right? I thought that Donnie was actually like feeding people to this entity so he would become stronger, but I guess he had no clue what he was doing, right? He was
it's a good point.
So like I thought that, but then when towards the later part of the episode when they were in the courtroom. It's like, oh no, he has no clue what he's doing. He's just an idiot, right? Um, yeah, not much to say. Wong was great.
Yeah.
Wongers, yeah, yeah. It was funny. It's funny. It's like, why do people hate it, dude? IGN gave it a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
I don't know,
Interesting.
Yeah. So I take it, dude. We'll I guess we'll continue the topic, right? Because it's like where is this hate coming from? Because it's
there's gonna be a theme around this for sure about and we've mentioned this multiple times on the podcast. Like, have these people really seen like the horrible, like really bad TV shows and movies out there? Because some people are acting like this is the worst thing they've ever seen, and I'm like, Obed and I can tell you, we've seen some real stinkers that have no business. Some real like negative ones, like really bad level things that I will never watch again.
Yeah.
Terribleness that people compare these
Like,
kinds of shows to that doesn't make any sense.
People say it's like, oh, this like the movie's the worst. I mean, or the movie's the worst, or the show is bad. I was like, I mean, is it worse than Titans, or is it worse than Catwoman? Right? Is it,
like there's bad ones out there.
Yeah.
Some real, is it worse than Morbius?
Is it worse than Morbius now on Netflix?
Well, it's bad, bro. I will say though, all that put aside, this week's episode that came out today for She-Hulk here on this Thursday here of September the 8th, I actually did not like it as much as I thought I was going to. And I think it has to do with, like I'd mentioned this to you before, like how there was some early, I guess, screeners sent to some press, not us, but some other press people out there. And they were like, oh my goodness, like by the 4th episode, it's as good as WandaVision. And I was like, well, that's a bold statement, seeing that kind of stuff. And like, you can't compare apples to oranges. It's a different kind of show. It's not WandaVision is not a comedy. It has like all the Marvel things. They have their balance of drama and comedy. Don't get me wrong. That's what we love about the MCU.
It's good on its own merit.
It's good, right? It's a completely separate thing. And so I think that definitely skewed my perspective. However, if I have to break down the bones of the story for this episode, I felt to me like it was more like a higher budget CW episode. Like the whole like seeing her have to go out and doing her Tinder dates or whatever. And like that kid was kind of like a running. I was like, all right, the second time, the third, I was like, all right, it's kind of getting a little like ready for the next thing now, Johnny Blaze felt like a CW Freak of the Week, character. You got Mr. Twirly Man on Flash one episode and then he's gone the next, felt a little bit like that. Yeah. Now, does that mean that this was the worst thing? Like I'm saying, no, not at all. Not at all. But I just felt like out of all of them, from a standpoint of the expectations and trying to compare to other shows, I felt like it had the least progress from overall for the character.
I agree.
And it kind of felt more stale in that. But like
it felt more like a filler episode.
It felt more like a filler episode.
Yeah.
But then when you get that little thing at the end where it's like the lawsuit where she's getting served papers, you're like, okay, so now this is where you get a little bit of that payoff. I feel like that's gonna for sure come back. Well, not for sure. We know that's where they're leading into the next episode, and I look forward to that. So it's still, even though it has that stuff, I still look forward to, the next thing. And I must say with this show, like it's important to understand what kind of show you're watching. And just to echo the same sentiments you said, like people gotta understand they made it clear this is a comedy. There's a lot of, again, when I say watch up the legal stuff, like I mentioned it last week, like there's a lot of stuff they do from a legal standpoint that I'm like, that's not even legal, but it's just them trying to have fun with it. Like it's not, you can't watch it as this like grounded. This isn't like a Christopher Nolan like
I know
show or something.
This isn't a feel good.
Very goofy. Yeah. This is something you have to just have that kind of personality.
Yeah, if you go in expecting like court sequences, like a Feel Good Man or something like,
right?
This is not that. Like some of these crazy like legal like movies or shows, and it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna be like that. But yeah,
not at all. So I think that's like more so the point I want to say like, around with the episode. Like I do long for them to portray and I'm not gonna go off on a tangent on this, but I felt a little bit of this way with Miss Marvel. I didn't feel this way with WandaVision, but I felt this way a little bit with Miss Marvel, where I'm like some of the portrayals of the female heroes is like they're doing stuff with them that they would never do with the guys, if you know what
Oh
I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, I
And
agree.
that kind of bothers me a little bit. For some people may not totally
Did,
get it,
did
but
you?
I'm like,
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but it just for me, it's just like there's some like the whole like there's certain sequences stuff that they're doing that I'm like, if this was Spider-Man or if this was Daredevil, even characters that have more humorous stuff, I'm like, I don't know necessarily you would go fully this route with extended sequences of some of these things. And you would give them more of the stuff that really is exciting. And I want them to She-Hulk is an amazing, exciting character. And when we do get those moments, like when we get her like fully like battling random bat goblins or whatever,
Yeah,
like I want more of that kind of crazy. At the end of the episode the week before, where she's beating up the street thugs, that stole the Asgardian weapons or whatever. Like I want to see her do more really cool stuff like that. That you would have given more scenes like that to the guys. Give it to the girls too, and I love that stuff. I think that's what I liked about like Captain Marvel, for an example. Like her hero ascension, you get these really cool sequences that you would have gotten with other male characters. I felt at least with it. Maybe there's some other things we could talk about separately that maybe could have been done differently, but from
totally.
the
Yeah,
overall arc of the character going up, it's like it's good. Same thing I felt with Black Widow, but with these shows, I would like to see them change the approach a little bit overall. But I'm not gonna go on that tangent. That's a whole nother thing.
yeah. Oh, did you get to watch that video that I sent you?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's crazy, right? Because that's kind of
Yeah.
like what I said a couple weeks ago, where
Yeah.
you can't forget about your legacy characters, and
Yes.
now you have this new generation that learned who these characters were, and want to go and read the comics and get new stuff and new material on these heroes, and then when they go, they're either dead or been replaced,
Yeah.
and it's a problem, right? So I'm hoping that the disconnect that's going on at Marvel right now. I know that Kevin Feige has a plan. He pulled it off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I'm sure that he can pull it off again. It's just that um, I think that the problem that we're having is that we're still on that cooldown period from Endgame, and
It's true.
like it's tough, right? It's tough. Like other than Spider-Man, like everything has been
Yeah.
okay or hit and miss, right? I really enjoyed Shang-Chi
Yeah. It's
for
my
sure. That
favorite outside
that
of
was really good.
Spider-Man. Yeah.
Um, but it's tough, dude. Like they're in a tough place, right? They had this 10-year plan. They pulled it off, and
Really
it was
well.
awesome, right? It we gotta go through this cool down period, and I know that it's like we're tired. Like I already said that I'm tired. Like I'm watching She-Hulk because I really do find it very entertaining. I still haven't watched one episode of Miss Marvel, um, but we cannot lose track of those legacy heroes that made the MCU what it is, right? And at some point we have to revisit it, whether it be, you know, flip the universe and it's a different actor playing the same character, as long as it's the proper casting. But it, it's it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I hear what you're saying, and I agree. That's the direction I want them to go too. Like use like that multiversal. Since you're in the multiverse, like you can actually pull
oh
from and
yeah,
keep these characters alive and another representation. But I can't help but feel like, and we'll probably maybe by the time you guys listen to this podcast, news of will already broken from this weekend with D23. But I can't help but feel like their next few years, I think Fantastic Four and X-Men are going to be replacing the legacy characters, and which technically they are legacy characters, Fantastic Four and X-Men. When you look at,
yeah,
from the comic book standpoint, I think it's if anything, they're going to take some of those legacy characters and reintroduce them on the big screen. They've already had at film adaptations before, but give something fresh to them. I'm with you. I'm of the same mindset. I want them to bring back like an alternate version of Iron Man. We said for a while, like we would have loved to have seen like maybe like Tom Cruise or something as Iron Man in Multiverse of Madness, and like some other things they could do just for fun.
Yeah, talk about missed
Um,
opportunities, right? Where you can
yeah,
just like really go really crazy, right? And they did, right? Because what they brought
yeah.
was excellent, right? But that I think that they did a terrible job as subverting expectations. I think the
Oh
expectations
yeah.
were through the roof, right? And it
Yeah.
did not deliver. It's like when you order a pizza, right? And you've heard like this pizza is the best
Amazing.
pizza in town, right? And you get your pizza, and it's enjoyable. And it's like it's still, oh, it's still good pizza, but it wasn't the pizza that I was expecting. So
Pizza's a pizza, but some pizzas are better.
yeah, no, absolutely, we can totally agree to to the shreddiness of the of
Oh,
the sauce and the situation, right?
I know
So,
that reference.
um, well, I mean, I'm looking forward to next week's episode. Again, I'm still really enjoying this
Yeah,
show. I think it's funny. The 30-minute format works.
yeah,
It doesn't really work for other more complex shows. Like I think Loki could benefit from more expansive episodes like The Boys and Lord of the Rings. We'll talk about it in a minute. But I think the 30-minute format really helps it. It doesn't overstay its welcome. Um, so there's always gonna be some cringe, right? And it's like a super on the nose, and it's the show is super self aware, right?
yeah.
About fandom in general, so they know what they're doing. I think it's good. So Lord of the Rings, because we had lunch earlier this week, and we kind of tried to avoid as much as we could,
But we were so
but
hyped.
we were really hyped.
Yeah,
I really really enjoyed it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
really really enjoyed it, dude. Um,
I tried to hold it back last week, and remember, I just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
briefly like
yeah. And I
said
could I
something
could tell
about
I
it.
could tell that you were very
I
positive
couldn't wait
on
to
it.
watch more. I only watched the
Yeah,
first episode. I'm like, I gotta go see the second.
yeah. I could tell that you were very positive on it, and then we briefly talked about it
Yeah,
during lunch this week, and um, I really liked it. Visually, dude, it's like probably the best show out there. Like it's nuts.
like yeah, that's
It's
it.
nuts. Yeah. Um, I think that the you know we're getting the best I think that we could expect. Like this is like a best case scenario, I think, as of now, right? I don't know
Yeah,
how the rest of the season's gonna go.
exactly.
Um, my only gripe, it's there's a Dominican elf. No, I'm just
Oh,
bro. Are you kidding me? We'll talk about it. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
yep.
I think my only gripe is the elf. I feel like the elf's hair should be like the long, like flowing hair, which is like
Mhm.
what we I mean we're accustomed to, right? But I think that's how it's described in the books as well. So
Yeah,
um unless that's something that's a tradition that came in later. I mean, again, this is like what 6,000 years before the
yeah,
Lord of the Rings, right? Something like that,
yeah,
something
man.
crazy like that. It's at least 4,000 years because we know that Elrond refers to the day that Isildur took the ring. It was 3,000 years before Lord of the Rings. I'm guessing this is probably about 1,000 years, maybe 2,000 years before the War of the Ring, right? So, um, I think that putting a young like not Hugo Weaving and a young not Kate Blanchett, like it works, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't take me out. It doesn't take me out. I don't think I know that there's been like fandom criticism about some of the casting choices.
yeah.
I have zero problems because the characters are freaking good.
Oh,
See,
he said it.
like I would have a problem, right? If you put a Puerto Rican guy playing an elf, and it's like, hey, look at me, I'm an elf, I shoot the arrows, and I'm super cool guy, right? And acting cool and try and being like out of character, like that would bum me out, right? But when you have a diverse cast, and they stick to their character,
Yeah.
zero issues. Zero. I know that I just don't understand it, right? In some cases I could see it. You know, the out of the blue like Black Superman, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to first establish a lore and then do it. Like you just like the Will Smith thing. Like when Will Smith was rumored to be cast as Superman, and we still haven't gotten to the Black Superman in the comics. That to me was a problem, right? Because you're really like going out of the lore just to go into the movie with this huge like box office attraction that Will Smith was at the time, just for the sake of it. I'm glad that didn't work out, and we got that other superhero pseudo movie with Will Smith that wasn't very good, but at least it wasn't Superman.
Hancock. I hated that.
Yeah, you hated it.
Oh my gosh! I was like, "What is this trash?"
I think I watched
like
it once.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
I was like, "Huh?"
That's crazy.
We want to talk about 1-star rating.
I've seen Mortal Kombat Annihilation more times than I've seen Hancock. How's that? So I don't have a problem. I mean, I know that you probably feel the same way that I feel on this thing. And I know that there was some other like another fan outrage over Game of Thrones in the last few weeks. I don't care, guys. It's like as long as they're playing the character well and they're doing the thing, I don't care. I don't care. And you know, oh, you're saying it because you're a minority. No, because I just talked about Hancock and Superman and Will Smith. So it's clear, right, that in some situations, right, where you can't do a Black Gandalf. That'd be weird, right?
I mean, you probably could. Just a wizard.
I mean, he's a wizard.
Just a wizard.
And he's not even from Earth. They're from like another dimension.
I honestly,
altogether.
like, I really can't think of many.
Screw
even
it.
when it comes to Superman, I'm like, he's an alien. Like, it just depends on how you do it. Like,
you know what?
like how you just said about the elf thing. It's the same thing. It's like you can make it the real. I'm the elf. You know, he starts speaking in Spanish, and it's like trying to be like a trope to try and
Yo
attract
soy el
people.
elfo, and
Yeah, like you're doing it in a way to checkbox, but you're also kind of, you know, playing on stereotypes.
Yeah.
And then you can have them be people that are really
character.
well, that they are playing their character, and they're respected equally like everybody else, and you don't have to almost like play to a stereotype, play to
Absolutely.
their ethnic, you know, like that's, you know, you don't need to, same way you don't need to have like the white elf come in and he's speaking with like a southern twang accent, like he's from Alabama.
Exactly.
You know, like you don't need to do that. Like you could they're elves. They're there. Like it's
100%.
fine. I think there's something to be said about the real equality. Just really means when you have people represent and have the same opportunities as someone else does. Doesn't mean you can't represent culture and things. I'm not saying that either. Because people's like, oh, you want them to act like this? Like, I'm not saying that. There's Black Panther. That's a good example of showing culture.
Yeah.
But doing it in a really graceful way. It just, there's time and place for everything.
Was there? I don't recall. Right, Eddie.
Yeah.
Because he's freaking excellent. But was there any outrage about Giancarlo Esposito being a high imperial officer on Mando? Because the Empire were racist, like straight up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't remember it. I'm sure there's a very weird group of people out there. I mean, because
that's impossible because the Empire
they're just
were
mad
racist,
because
so,
they're mad.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what the reason is.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just mentioned Giancarlo. I literally was thinking of him as you were saying, because I'm like, there's about to be a D23. Again, this may have already dropped by the time people are listening to this.
Yep.
There is strong rumors. I am not saying this is gospel until it comes out as news. There's strong rumors that Giancarlo Esposito may be like Professor Xavier or even Magneto, for crying out loud.
You know what?
Okay.
Like he would
if
be.
If it happens, that can change a lot.
He would be excellent.
I will wait and see.
As Xavier, I think he would be. I think he would be great.
The
Xavier,
voice
right?
and the personality,
and when you think about it, right, that's a lore break right there.
It is.
But consider the quality of the actor. like
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're like you know like, and you haven't watched The Boys, dude, but
Yeah.
he's so good. It's it's crazy, right?
I mean,
I I
I
just
think
don't have a
of
problem with it, man.
there's times where they've switched stuff and I actually like it. Like I think of like like the Daredevil, like the Ben Affleck Daredevil, and like Michael Duncan, like Michael Clark Duncan being Kingpin. I liked
Oh
him as
yeah,
Kingpin, bro. I didn't
yeah.
care if it was, oh, it's not this bald white guy. I don't. There's times you can do it and do it really
Yeah,
tastefully, and it just
exactly.
really depends on how it's done. But yeah, I'm really I think it's really important the message of what we're saying right here that you can do things like this and make it special and can make Lord of the Rings be something that is for everybody without playing stereotypes and tropes. I don't need them to
I think
to
that's the
do sequences and scenes that make
yeah,
just do the story. Just do the story and we're fine.
exactly. That's the I think that's the part of the problem is that some of these characters usually get typecasts, and then
Yeah.
now that you have them on, you have a a Dominican elf and a black hobbit and or Harfoot or whatever, right? Um, it's and people get, I was like, oh, that's impossible. I was like, well, how do you know? So we're talking about a fictitious place with fictitious, like there's a wizard that can talk to bugs, and there's another wizard with a black armor that can live forever. You know, it's
These people take it like as if like it's
right.
so hard to comprehend,
Right,
It's
honestly. And that's the problem that I have with it, right? And then they call it woke. It's like I did not see any woke like preachiness or anything on Lord of the Rings. They're calling it woke because it has a diverse cast of characters. That's not I don't
I,
think that word means that the what you think it means, honestly.
I think we're gonna have to take a break and come back to keep talking about this for a second
Yeah,
because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a couple things like
Yeah.
we gotta say. But
Yeah.
TJ, I'm seeing you in the chat, bro. Can't agree more. Scenes are fantastic.
Yeah. It's
Acting's
excellent.
fantastic. We got stuff to say. We got to take a break. I'm sitting down, but bro, we got more to say about this.
Yeah, we'll be back. Stay with us. And we're back. So, like, just leaving that aside for a moment, right? Um, Spoiler alert. Again, who do you think the wizard is? Because I told
Yes.
you.
So so I instantly was like, okay, we all knew it was a wizard, right? But I was instantly like, oh, maybe this is like an ancestor of like Gandalf. Maybe it's not. I didn't think it was Gandalf himself. It's like this Grand Gandalf's daddy. Like I don't know exactly. So I when I tell you I was so much in the blank, I didn't know. But your theory makes more sense to me.
Okay, I think it's Saruman
Hmm.
because he was there for a lot of the the stuff that happened prior to the War of the Ring and all that. So I think it's him. Remember, he's like the big wizard, like the big cheese wizard.
Yeah.
So clearly he's been on Middle Earth for longer than Radagast and Gandalf and and these other guys. So I think it's Saruman, and we'll get it.
Now,
And, we'll get Saruman as a good guy. And we sort of got him on the Hobbit, right? And but we saw like towards the end we saw the fear and in his eyes, and part of the reason why he turned. But yeah, it's I
yeah,
think it's him.
because he is warning. We're just like Nori's character trying to figure out what exactly it is, which I
Yep.
like that perspective. Like we're watching it through her eyes, what he's trying to tell us.
Yep.
And so he's clearly trying to give warnings. He does the very Gandalf thing of whispering, and then
Yeah.
you see them go out. So cool callbacks to what we've seen done before on the live screen from a Lord of the Rings thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's Gandalf. And I think you have a great point of saying like, this character was good before they turned bad. And there's a lot of characters, Obed, that's the same thing that happens with them.
Yeah.
So, like we're going to see in this show when the rings were forged.
Yeah,
Those
because
are
a lot
all
of
good
elves get corrupted too.
Yeah.
So
The white orcs are all former elves.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, so there's stuff to be said there.
Hey,
I don't know
don't
everything
put
about Lord of the
labels on
Rings.
orcs, Joe.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But seriously, like you like that was a good tease. I love a lot of the teases in this, like the kid, for an example. Who's his daddy and what does he do?
So yeah, that's the thing, because I don't think the kid necessarily is special. I think it's just that he found that sword, and it somehow got him enchanted. Kind of like what the is it the Palantir, the big like sphere does to
Oh yeah,
Mary,
yeah.
right? So kind of like that, like the Horcruxes that that
Yeah.
that Sauron has out there get they mess up with people's head. So
I think that's a good point. It could be as simple as that. It's just for me, it's like you have the statement that's said right by the one elf that goes into the town. I can't remember his name now, but when he's in the town there and he's speaking.
I was gonna say Andor, but it's something like that.
Yeah. So when he's speaking, so the lady there, like he kind of insults her. He's like, yeah, isn't the people of this town like they were faithful to Mordecai, and like saying like these your people. And she's like, they were my friends. Da, 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 like, don't be careful what you're saying about them. But like they clearly had some strong dark influences over that town, over the people. And then you have the one other exposition that I felt was very intentional when the boy's going to find the sword, that the friend is saying to him like, yeah, didn't your dad just walk out and leave with you? Like, where'd he even go? Or something like that. Those two things to me made me feel like he may not necessarily be like, all the way up, but I'm like, is he like related to the Witch King or something like that? Like, I don't know, but is there some kind of element there? Because it's his blood specifically that's going up towards the actual blade that ignites it.
Yeah.
I don't want to read into it, like to your point, like it could just be just the evil drawing to him.
Yeah,
but I almost feel like it's in his bloodline. We'll see.
Yeah. I guess we'll wait and see. Also, like Elden Ring like broke everything for me, and I know that the like Lord of the Rings is the OG, right? Without Lord of the Rings, we wouldn't have any of this stuff. Like without Lord of the Rings, we objectively wouldn't have any like Star Wars, Game of Thrones, all this stuff, right? Harry Potter, Narnia, and like all this, right? So, it took like the intro was very Elden Ring, like you see the tree and the tree dries up and burns. It was like, and I was like, oh, man, it's like it ruined it for me, because now everything's Elden Ring, like all high fantasy is Elden Ring, which you should play the game. I think everyone that at least a bit inclined into high fantasy should play that game. Um, but yeah, it was good, man. Visually stunning for sure. Can't wait to see like the how it plays out. I really like the characters. Like, there's no character that I don't like. Like, I even like the dwarves, and those were my least favorite.
I know.
And
I
they're
thought they were
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, Durin, right? Durin, he was
Yeah,
great.
Durin, which
Yeah,
is very important. A future of the
yeah.
lineage of the dwarves.
Because
TJ, your question.
Durin was the one that amassed the treasure, right? That the
Yeah.
Smaug was going. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah,
Yes. Yes. That's why, to me, that one at the end, right when his father is showing him what's in the box, I'm like, is that the king's jewel? Is that
oh, okay, yeah,
is
that
that
could
what
be
he's
it.
that's glowing? Is that it that we're
Yeah.
gonna see there? Right, the Arkenstone.
Mm-hmm.
But TJ, you have a great question here about saying, do we think that the boy could be some sort of relative to Aragorn long down the line? They reference Future King at one point. That definitely was that one sequence in that bar, wherever kind of place, was definitely a reference to Aragorn.
Yeah.
Because them saying like this dude just stands up in the middle,
Yeah.
is like, yo, our king will come. That was totally a reference to Aragorn. There's
The
no way
dude,
around it.
the
Now
dude,
them
yeah,
specific character, that's just like prophecy, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But that boy being referenced related to Aragorn, I don't see
I
it,
don't think so.
but I'm not writing it off.
The dude
because
on the boat is totally a Numenor dude. The dude in the boat with that saved Galadriel, yeah.
okay,
Like, he's a
okay,
Numenor for sure.
okay,
So he could be the one that's
he's
like
from that kingdom.
like he's probably like Isildur's like
Yeah,
ancestor. Yeah. So
yeah,
I
that's a
guess,
good point.
yeah.
That's a good point.
Um, man, this show's good. I like it.
I know, right?
I like it, dude.
They're
It's
building something
I
that
can't wait for more.
Elrond's talking
Yeah.
about building. What is this thing that they're building, bro? That's going to be significant. I have to
Yeah.
imagine. There's so many great setups
Well,
that they have in
the
this.
building is the rings, because did you play Shadow of Mordor, Joel?
It's been a while.
Okay,
Man.
so Celebrimbor is the one that forged the rings.
Oh, okay.
So he's the one that came up with the plan, right? And he originally concocted the plan to unite men, dwarves, and elves, right? And
Okay.
that should be like a union, and then they would make Middle Earth progress. But then he gets tricked into building the Master Ring for Sauron, and then that's how it all comes out. So yeah, and
Yeah.
then he gets betrayed, he gets killed, turns into a wraith, and then video games happen. Video games that may or may not be canon in this, but yeah.
Right. No,
Yeah.
we'll find out. To me, they're handling a lot of canon in this show. To me, they're not. I know people are like, "Oh, this has nothing to do." I'm like, I don't know, man.
It's
I'm
good,
feeling
though.
that they're definitely taking a new take, but there's definitely a lot of respect to what was, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I can't wait to see more. Tomorrow's going to be another episode. I look forward to watching it at 9:00
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I really, and I just a few other things. Like, I like that what they're really doing with Elrond and Galadriel, because like they're showing that Elrond was not always so uptight. Like, he had a softer side, and then the war changed him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus we see Galadriel, where she's like after the enemy, like very doubtful of the whole, like, going back to Valinor and all this stuff. Like she feels like there's a job to be done, right? But then when we see her in Lord of the Rings, she's more poised and very powerful and all this stuff. So we see those two storylines, and I'm curious to see where they're gonna go with their growth. But like, the eventuality is that Elrond he's a fair leader of the elves, but he's also very uptight. And then we see Galadriel, more of a recluse because of the fear of being tempted by the ring and all this, but also very powerful. So
very powerful and extremely helpful towards Frodo, and very supportive,
pivotal, yeah,
of his movement, of what he's doing with the Fellowship.
Yeah,
and
we all know that,
she would want that to continue on. She couldn't be a part of it.
Exactly, and we know that when when it was all said and done, and when the enemy was truly vanquished,
Yes.
she went to Valinor with Frodo and their gang. So
Yes.
yeah, it was good. I really don't know. People saying I hate it. Hate what? It was
Yeah.
good.
You're not. I'm not gonna give people call people names. Every person
No,
who
no,
doesn't
yeah.
like this is a racist. Every person
No,
doesn't like
no,
this.
no,
I'm not
totally not.
saying that. There are
You're
people
entitled to
who
your
I've
opinion
read.
if you
I've read
watch it.
things online. Right. If you watched it.
Yeah.
And I'm totally okay with that. Have you having that opinion? I just don't agree with you. So, but you know what? I'm enjoying it, and
Yeah.
I'm glad to keep enjoying it. Hopefully, it keeps going on very well.
Jill, do you enjoy Call of Duty?
My favorite
'Cause,
game of all time.
um,
I played my fair share.
yeah. So there's a whole bit of drama going on with Call of Duty right now, or I guess with Activision. Um, and we're seeing some stuff that got out there. With Jim Ryan, and I guess some part of the discussion between PlayStation and Xbox, and when they were trying to get to agreements pertaining Call of Duty. Um, and yeah, I guess that the deal is that Microsoft offered 3 additional years after the current agreement expires. So it would mean that I think it's approximately until 2027. Call of Duty will still appear on PlayStation, and after that, it will be a Microsoft exclusive product. And Jim Ryan said that it was BS. Basically, that's what happened. A very interesting data point that I found out after this whole discussion started happening. Right, PlayStation was, I guess, Activision's biggest consumer or client. I think they encompass like a 13 or 16% of their sales, something like that. And then it was followed by like the mobile stores like Apple and Google, and then Xbox. So it's weird. Like they still need that. Like they're like, are you telling me? All right, hear me out. Right, you're gonna buy a company, and you buy the company, and after the deal said and done, you're going to cut off 15% off your revenue stream when you still have to pay the how big was this thing? It's like almost $4 billion or whatever.
Yeah, huge.
It's crazy. It was like, was it Lucasfilm was cheaper than this? It's crazy.
Marvel was.
Yeah. Oh, Marvel's it's a gift, dude. That was a slam dunk right there. Yeah. Well, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think that was the first thing I thought of too. Was like, do they want to lose money? Like, are they trying to like fall into hard times? Because my first thought was like, isn't there way more Call of Duty members that are more active on the PSN than they are on the Microsoft network, Xbox network? I don't know. But if they believe that there's enough people that love the product, I do believe there's something to say about people who would buy a console just purely for the product. I mean, I think of like the MLB, the game stuff where people would like literally say, I play everything else in here, but I have to have, this thing in order to play this game. Yep. So there is an argument to be made for that. I'm not saying that. I just don't think that's the road you want to walk, in my opinion. I think you want to, if anything, strike a deal with your competitor and say, look, at the end of the day, we're going to get the better end of the deal because we're the ones who hold the property, and Microsoft should. I think Microsoft deserves to make that. They made the investment to buy it. They deserve to make the most money out of it. That's only fair. Yep. But you don't cut off the other arm, to make that happen, because it's only going to be more painful for them down the line.
That's literally
bad PR in the community.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. When you say it, I was like, oh, that thing's going to cost me an arm and a leg, and that's basically what they're like honestly, that's what it is, right?
Yeah, it's a bad long term. I can't imagine
Yeah.
unless they really believe with between now and whatever it's 2026, 2027, that they have some kind of plan that they're like, oh no, no, listen, our consoles are gonna be so like bypassing everything that we have such confidence that we can make plans to really move into that. And if
Unless
they are,
unless Xbox
that's
just
bold.
yeah, unless Xbox just straight up abandons hardware, and they just
That's
become Game
possible
Pass,
too.
and they just become
And
Game Pass, and they're on PlayStation. So
And then that makes
you know,
sense. There could be things that we're not thinking of, is my point, that they
yeah,
know that we don't. On paper, it sounds
yeah, like that.
not very good.
Yeah, it seems like Microsoft really does have a roadmap for
Hmm.
this, right? Um, the way that they've been treating hardware recently, it's I don't know, right? It's something smells off
Yeah,
on their end, and I think that they're just easing everyone into the Game Pass is gonna be their thing. The Game Pass is gonna be on everything, and eventually we'll get like a Game Pass only Xbox. They're still gonna have their own thing, right? But Xbox is gonna be on PlayStation. Like we said it a few years that I think it was probably a couple of years ago. We said it
sure.
when Game Pass came out. I was like, it wouldn't shock me that this thing is gonna end up on PlayStation, and then you can, they're gonna get your money,
Yeah.
and they're gonna get their money, and that's how they're gonna play it, right? Um, I I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
I,
Call of Duty, right?
yeah, I don't care. My thing is now, right? Depending on what the plan is, we don't know. We don't have detail um, information on what the plan is past the 5 to 7 year thing that they have going on. What if just PlayStation says, okay, now they have Bungie, and they have Bungie and Insomniac. What if you make a get and Gorilla, and just have them work on a Call of Duty killer? Like, you got three studios that made really good first person shooters, and Insomniac made
I mean,
Resistance, Killzone from Gorilla, and then you get Bungie made Halo and Destiny. What if they come up with something that to compete directly with Call of Duty?
you probably have to, but some people will say, and I'm not one of those people, but some people will say, like, oh, Battlefield, like those are the competitor to
Oh,
these
Battlefield
things, right?
flopped hard, dude.
It flopped hard. And I also feel like there's something about the name. Like, it is a legacy name. Call of Duty. Like, just you put the title on it, people are gonna buy the next one. Just because the name's on it, and they just have a good time with them. So they really, really, really
But what if Sony buys like a legacy IP, like a dormant IP, like that people are really behind, like, I don't know, like Medal of Honor or something,
Oh
right?
yeah. This comment here, GG is cracking me up. He's saying Call of Duty needs to be a crossplay 100%. If not, it'll fall off big. My opinion would hurt game streaming on Twitch tremendously if they
Oh
do
yeah.
that. It plays a huge part in the game sales right now. And he's saying, if they go Xbox exclusive, is what he meant. That he doesn't like that idea at all. And
No.
and I think that's interesting, because I know you're an Xbox, a happy Xbox owner, and that's wonderful. And I think it's an interesting perspective, just hearing that conversation around, like, what really helps move those games is like their streaming. And if you're only streaming on some devices and making exclusive, like, there's I can't imagine positive effects, but
Yeah.
maybe there's something we don't know. I'm trying to stay, because I mean,
Yeah.
Jim Ryan coming out and saying this, like, there's also a little bit of politics too, right? Like, he's like,
Yeah.
don't
Oh
don't
yeah.
blame us,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. He's I think he's playing the game. That we
Yeah,
got to remember, Jim Ryan's a PR guy.
he
He
is.
knows how to play
Control
the
the
game.
narrative.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So like the way that I look at it, right, is that he's putting this thing out there now and saying, listen, guys, eventually, it's not this year, next year, it's not 2025. Eventually, we're not gonna have Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, Call of Duty could flop too. Look at Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
It's like
That's a huge game. I mean, Halo's huge,
that they're
right? A
saying
lot of
like players are saying it's done. Like it's done. Like
yeah. That's crazy to think. I would never have thought that would happen
they
with that
canceled the multiplayer.
franchise.
I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
they
No,
canceled
that's huge.
yeah, dude. The multiplayer, no, the co-op.
Please, Ubisoft, do not mess up Assassin's Creed this weekend when you make your announcement.
Yeah.
Whew,
No, I know you're excited about that. Yeah.
I'm pumped.
I don't. Yeah, I don't care, and I know that there's a lot of people that do. Like a lot of the Call of Duty tournaments are played on PlayStation. Like they're a sponsored, like a tournament sponsor.
That's true.
Right? And that what's gonna
Yeah.
happen there. So I don't know. This is gonna force PlayStation to buy something, and I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be, like a crap studio here and like we bought a small studio that makes mobile games. Like they have to do something significant. But again, on the other hand, they have, like I said, Bungie, Guerrilla, and Insomniac, that they made some of the best first person shooters out there. They get them together, dude, form a team and do a proper Call of Duty killer. That could be it, right?
Yeah.
So, well, guess we'll wait and see on that. Little bit of breaking news, Joe. There's a we talked about the Skydance Media, which was the studio that Amy Hennig is a part of now. We talked about how they had a deal with Marvel to work on a game. Allegedly, there's going to be a reveal tomorrow, and the game is going to be a Captain America and Black Panther team-up game
Wow.
set in World War II.
Wow.
That's cool.
It's awesome.
That's cool. I know that you have feelings about this, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, I have huge feelings on this because right off the bat, make a Captain America game. Yes. Make a Black Panther game. Yes. What about both? Heck yes. So like, and it's like not something that I would have predicted, like a team up game like this. But oh my goodness,
Yeah.
there's so much that they can do around having these two characters together and setting it in a World War time frame. I do think that also you have an opportunity to capitalize on. Now you don't have to worry about either of those characters really being in the movies because those characters have already been around. So just give a good game experience. You don't have to worry about trying to make something that falls in line with the movies. I felt like you said, the Guardians game, like that was really solid, a recent release, right?
I really liked
Like
it.
there's a lot they can do with this game that I feel like can also kind of fit into that same mold of something that's just a good time, whether you're into the IP or not.
Yeah. Yeah, so the way they're saying it's like it's gonna be revealed tomorrow at the Disney gaming
panel.
event. Yep. Which by the way, next week we may or may not have a show.
Yeah, there's so much news when we come back.
Yeah, and there's like Joel and I are very, very busy with work, and we may have to postpone, but we can have a full Disney blog when we come back. But yeah, so basically they're saying that this would be, no details on if it's going to be like a co-op game. Of course, it's going to be a a story focused, story driven game. So that's pretty interesting. That's cool. That's good to know.
I agree. I agree.
Yep. And last bit of gaming news here. We have a new Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Nintendo Switch OLED, which looks very, very nice. I am not really big into the whole branded Switch. I like my things. I'm the minimalistic kind of person. But this looks very nice. They look very, very cool. Not much there. I mean, it's an OLED, and it's it's coming out on November 4th, and it's gonna be $359.99. So
It's cool to see them bring like a variety to the OLED, like the Switch before like already had its versions. Now that they're trying to get people into OLED around the holiday season coming up, that makes more sense.
yeah, yep, not much there. Still waiting for that Nintendo Direct
Coming soon.
that was supposed to happen. I guess next week, and allegedly is getting delayed because of the Queen's passing. So we'll wait and see.
R.I.P.
But we did not forget about you guys. It's time for our segment. DC, what are you doing? So what's happening in the WBs this week, Joe?
Oh my goodness. Just when I thought we would go a week without an update, gotcha. We're back with another one. So we've been saying, that Dan Lin was going to be the guy. All sources pointed to it, multiple places confirming that he was going to be the brand new executive leadership of DC Films. And well, it seems like that deal has now fallen through and is not completed. In fact, according to the reports, I'm just going to read this off here from the Hollywood Reporters. His sources say a number of factors complicated talks with Warner Bros. Discovery, with a chief sticking point being Lin's commitment to Ride Back, his prolific production company, and Ride Back Rise, his new nonprofit endeavor. Negotiations went into salary and vision, but Ride Back remained a complication. One scenario envisioned Warner Brothers Discovery taking equity stake in the company, although the size was always unclear. So I don't know how to fully read into that. That can mean a lot of different things. I say that in the sense of, was that I'm assuming Dan Lin wanted his company to be very involved in the creation of the future movies, and maybe Warner was like, nah, man, we want you. We don't want your company. But at the same extent, if they were talking about possibly buying a large share, maybe he was afraid of losing control of his own company. Like even if he brought it in, this is all speculation because it was written. Those sources, part of the Hollywood Reporter article, can to me go a couple different ways, and I don't want to put something out there that's inaccurate representation.
Yeah.
What we can comment on is the fact that, well, look at that, another person can't sit in the seat that's supposed to be a role that really, I mean, Obed, people should be running to do this.
Yeah, people should be lining up for this thing.
So, oh my goodness, I get to be in charge of Superman movies and Batman movies and Wonder Woman movies and TV shows and whatever. Like people should be going, oh my goodness, sign me up. Let me audition. And I think there are people who absolutely, based on some of the rumors, have had conversation, interviewed. In fact, Obed, one of the people I read, don't know how true it is, was Amy Pascal. Amy Pascal had a discussion. This was one of the rumors. I don't know how true this is. But so that's like, oh, that could be a whole nother podcast, man.
Well, I don't think we have enough time for that.
We have time for that. But the reason I say it is I just can't wait to see what finally happens because there is so much drama around this circumstance every time we update it. And it just doesn't make sense to me why, it's so hard to fill these seats. Very clearly, now it makes more sense why we didn't get the DC Fandom event too. If you can't even have a president of your division, how are you going to go out and market future projects? Before we came on here, a new Black Adam trailer dropped. Honestly, I've lost a little bit of faith in that movie, Obed. And that could be a whole nother discussion. But I think it will be fine, but I don't think it's going to be what Warner's needs. Warner's having controversy with Don't Worry, Darling, the movie, trending all over the weekend because people are accusing a singer of spitting on a guy and all kinds of updates and directors having affairs with the stars. And I mean, these are the two Warner Brother movies that are supposed to be coming out this year. I don't think either one of those things are going to set them where they need.
That could be a movie in itself.
A movie about the movie. I know. I'd watch that.
Yeah, could be like the disaster artist or something like that. Yeah.
So there's just so much at Warner's that we can talk about what the heck is going on. But I still feel like so long as when they get somebody in, if they really do consider a really fresh slate on some things, I'll stay optimistic. Because at this point, if you're gonna do something big, you got to commit. I don't want a soft reboot. I want you to commit to something serious and going a really
Yeah.
serious direction.
Yep.
Or you need to continue on. Don't do this in the middle. Like continue on with what you got. Then bring back the Snyderverse and continue on that. Either reset it or continue on. Don't give me a soft reboot.
Yeah.
But Ben, I don't know how you feel about all this.
It's just weird. The whole thing, it's bizarre at this point. It's almost laughable, right? Um,
It is.
like honestly, like next year they have a a couple things here and there. Um, how can you let this happen? And it's like, how did this happen? But it's strange. What's strange to me, right, is that it's what AT&T was doing, right? Where when or when the HBO Max thing and the movies and all that, I think it was working because at least like it seems like fans were kind of getting excited back again for the product, even if some of it wasn't good, like Titans and all that, right? Um, but it's like they basically gave away the WB. They sold or the CW. I can't remember the company they sold it to,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
for like a bag of Cheetos and a
yeah,
ticket to Disney World, and
yeah.
it's crazy, dude. I don't know. I it
It's
is
not good.
so strange, right? That you're looking at one of the premier studios in the entire movie history, right?
Yeah.
And they're having so many problems, and I think that this was uh this was a problem years in the making. Like this did not happen overnight. This has been happening since uh probably Man of Steel, and it's something that has been that the ball started rolling with Man of Steel, and the snowball, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it just hit them, and it stinks. I don't know. There's something weird. There's something smells like. You know what? This reminds me of. This reminds me of when Sears, which was an okay company, was doing okay, bought Kmart, and then they basically had to close everything down 15 years later.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
That's what this reminds me of. You
Wow,
have this
bro.
legacy thing that's doing good. You have your clientele. You're still selling your products. You have your brands. Hey, let's go ahead and buy this flailing thing here so we can compete better. And then everything closes down because you went bankrupt 15 years later, and now Sears is basically like a Ponzi scheme thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's nuts.
Wow. Wow.
So this is what this whole like Discovery thing reminds me of. I think Discovery was doing okay by itself. I think the WB thing with AT&T was doing okay by itself.
Same.
I just don't know what. I don't know. Like you see how smooth the Fox Disney thing was. Like yes, there was layoffs, right?
Yeah.
It's to be expected, but everything can like they didn't like straight up cancel everything. Like they had projects that, dude, like Free Guy and all these other projects
And,
that came out after the
and the bad
acquisition.
ones, New Mutants. I mean, they let them all come
And
out.
exactly, they let even bad ones come out. Prey, they praise it was
Well,
a
Prey is
yeah,
that's
dude.
fantastic, bro.
So that see the difference?
Yeah.
Bob's over here going like, with his
Just watching what's happening.
With his Obadiah Stane look that he has going on right now. I was like, we should buy them, and it wouldn't surprise me,
Oh my gosh.
honestly. So I don't know, dude. I guess we'll wait and see on what happens here. But Joe, go ahead and plug us in, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for listening and watching this week's episode of No Load Time. As we say, we don't make a profit from this show. And the only way you can really support us is by doing a simple thing of just subscribing. If you're listening to our podcast, go ahead and subscribe on places like Google Play and SoundCloud and Spotify and Amazon Music and Apple Music, going into hitting subscribe on our YouTube channel. Those little things make a huge difference for us and really helps us out as we do this as a passion from our hearts. So we just enjoy having these discussions with you all. So thank you for being with us on this journey. We also would ask you even to write a review about No Load Time on those podcast platforms priorly mentioned. That really would help us out in sharing the word. You can follow us on social media at No Load Time. On the social media, if you're watching the video down below, you can follow us at No Load Time, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can also follow us on Twitch, No Load Time altogether. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, we'd love to hear from you. Send an email to noloadtime@gmail.com. That's noloadtime@gmail.com. Thank you all so much. And we'll stay tuned to our socials as we'll let you know when we have our next episode of No Load Time.
Thank you guys. Stay safe. We'll see you again next time.